And he takes on Terry Hepner, second-year head coach of the Hoosiers. 9-12, the native of Woodburn, Indiana, who won consecutive Mid-American Conference East championships and took Miami of Ohio to consecutive bowls, earning him the head coaching job here in Bloomington. And Billy says his goals are very simple: 100% graduation and the Rose Bowl. And they shoot for perfection, but they settle for excellence.
And people might chuckle when they hear words like that, but this guy has pulled it off. And what he's done with his personal life and his personal situation, having 2 brain surgeries this year and out here coaching his team, he's got to be the #1 inspirational story in college football this year.
2 surgeries in a 9-month span, one for a tumor, one they were afraid might be for recurrence of a tumor, but it turned out to be for scar tissue. Chad Henne, his 35th consecutive start, the junior from Pennsylvania. First quarterback in Big Ten history to win the conference as a true freshman. First since Rick Leach to start the opening game of a Michigan season as a freshman. And the 3rd winningest active quarterback in college football, going for his 27th victory today and 34 starts. Only Jared Zabransky of Boise State and John Stocco of Wisconsin have more career victories. Boise glad to have Mario Manningham back. They eased him back a little bit onto the field last week against Ball State. Not really part of the game plan, but that should change today. Missed 3 games. Knee surgery after the Michigan State game. The 3rd leading receiver, 24 catches and at 22 yards per catch and 9 touchdowns, all 9 of which, Bill, happened from outside 20 yards.
When he goes deep, he makes me think of Larry Fitzgerald, except he has a lot more speed than Fitzgerald, the great receiver formerly of Pittsburgh and now playing in the National Football League at Arizona. But this guy also inspired. There's something his charisma brings out in his team that I think is as important as his performance. I say that again and again, but that's all you hear from his teammates and coaches.
Indiana has won the toss and elected to defer. Michigan will receive the opening kick at Memorial Stadium. 59th meeting. Michigan predictably dominated. 49 wins, 9 losses. They're 15-2 here in Bloomington. They won 14 in a row, 29 of the last 30 meetings. Only Indiana win 14-10 here, 1987. Lloyd Carr perfect against Indiana, 9-0. Winning in Ann Arbor last year, 41-17. Michigan senior receiving leader Steve Breston, school kick return record holder, who has also caught 45 passes, still looking for his first touchdown as a wide receiver this year. Breston dropping back deep for the Wolverines, who try to keep their date with destiny. Ohio State needs to do the same thing at Northwestern today. The Big Ten will have a first ever 1 versus 2, undefeated versus undefeated, Ohio State at Michigan next week, 3:30 on ABC. So we're set to go. Austin Starr with the opening kick, and he drives one low, and it'll be fielded at the 5 by Breston. And Breston angling his way back across the field before he's finally chased down by Will Patterson at the 35-yard line. Chad Henne thus set to go to work. He's hit 61% of his passes, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And is second in Michigan history, averaging 207 passing yards per game. Fastest Wolverine quarterback ever to 3,000 yards, 4,000, 5,000, and most recently 6,000 career yards. Former Pennsylvania Gatorade Player of the Year. And the Wolverines starting at the 34. Mike Hart in the one-back set and at the 37-yard line. The Nivea for Men Michigan lineup today, featuring one of the top offensive linemen in the country, Jake Long, the senior left tackle. Captain Mike DeBoard says the best offensive lineman in the country. DeBoard, Michigan's offensive coordinator. And not just because of the X's and the O's and the technique, but also because he is an incredible leader for this Michigan team. 2nd down and 7. And Henney on the roll, wide open. Breston uncovered and crosses midfield before he's wrestled out of the 45.
Henney's pass complete to number
A gain of 18.
For Wolverine fans, you recognize this play. Breston, nice job. Just trail route there out into the open zone. It was a bootleg, which caused the linebackers to freeze their position, so there was nobody out there in the flat. Nice throw and catch. And easy completion to get started for Henney. Important for his confidence.
And as you've noticed, we'll keep the Ohio State Northwestern score up there in the upper left-hand corner of the screen so you can watch this game and keep track of that one. Henney just in time to beat the blitz, and the catch made. Manningham, the target for the first time at the 38-yard line, hit immediately by Tracy Porter.
It may sound very strange for me to say that Henney needs confidence in his early throws, but there have been games when he started very poorly, as in Notre Dame, thrown touchdown interceptions. Nice pressure there by Geno Johnson, strong side linebacker number 56 for Indiana.
Manningham good for 8 yards on his first catch of the day. And second down and 2 on this opening possession for the Wolverines. Hart trying the right side, bounces off the initial hit, and then cuts it back for the first down, and a lot more inside the 30. About 90% of that on his own from Mike Hart. Divya for men defensive lineup for Indiana. Curlew, Kramer, Brown, and Kendall are up front. And under the gun in the secondary, two good ones, Will Myers and Tracy Porter. Myers, captain, leader of the secondary, and academic All-America. In accounting, their leading tackler with 69, and along with Porter, interception leaders, they each have 3. Here's 1st and 10, and the swing pass is almost a backwards pass, incomplete, intended for Breston. Henney letting that one go, Bill, right along a parallel line of the line of scrimmage.
Looked like that he was not really as focused on his receiver as he was on the idea of making sure that it was not a backward pass, and it killed his accuracy on that one.
Indiana has struggled. That's definitely the word on the defensive side of the ball. 4th from the bottom of the country in pass efficiency. 116 out of 119. There's lots of room again for Hart, and he cuts it back and is down near the 10. Another first down. Curlew chased him down after a gain of 17.
This outstanding offensive line just makes things happen. Watch Adam Krause, number 57, just absolutely caves his man there, and he's the guy that gives the room, blocking on Greg Brown, who's just kind of a load himself, a big guy, but a nice job by Krause. And the reason the guys love Hart so much is what you just saw. He always makes more than the play gives him.
Junior from Syracuse, New York, again called on. And picks up about 5, gets it inside the 7-yard line. Hit there by Will Patterson, the weak side linebacker. Hart, Michigan career leader, 113 yards per game.
And listen to this, Dave, 668 offensive touches, now over 670 without a fumble that's been recovered by the other side. He's put it on the ground a time or two, but he's always come up with it.
Better than 8 yards per carry here in this opening drive. And this time met by 5 or 6 tacklers. Still manages to get it just inside the 5-yard line. And from there, it'll be 3rd and a little less than 3 for a first down and a little less than 5 for a touchdown. Opening possession of the game for number 2, Michigan. Michigan. Question Lloyd Carr's best team, Bill, since 1997. And the big reason right there, they are 92% inside the red zone for the year.
They are 92%, but they only got 20 touchdowns in all those opportunities, and they'd like to have more.
Henney with a change at the line decides to give to Hart. And Hart is going to be very close. Should have the first down. They need the 2, and they're going to mark him just inside the 2.
20, Hart on the carry.
Jamie Curlew from left defensive end leading the Indiana surge against Mike Hart, but where they mark it, it's 1st and goal just outside the 1.
Again, on those red zone stats, Michigan has not been as good scoring touchdowns down here as they would like to be. Only around 60%. And that's how many red shirts it takes to get that little guy on the ground. And he still gets it down to the 1.
Yeah, 5'9", 196. You'd think he's 30 or 40 pounds bigger than that, judging by how hard he is to tackle. The fade into the corner of the end zone for Adrian Arrington, and he brings it in for the Michigan touchdown.
And his pass complete to number 16, Adrian Arrington. Number 9, Tracy Porter.
And he drops it in over Tracy Porter perfectly for the 6th touchdown, all in the last 5 Big Ten games for Arrington.
Now, everybody at Michigan is happy about this if you're not Bo Schembechler, because on the 1-yard line, he wouldn't like this play call, but it's great execution. Arrington catching the ball right over the best defender that Indiana has.
For the extra point, Garrett Rivas makes it 7-0. You think Bo's still that picky? I mean, points are points. Bo knows that.
Bo's watching right now, and he's gnashing his teeth. Bo, this is how some people play. They got great skill. They score now. Bo wants to knock it in there, and he always did.
And he tossed it in there to Adrian Arrington, the junior from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and Michigan scores on its first possession. Old hat for Michigan, scoring first now in 9 of their 11 games this year. Dominating first quarter team, Henny hitting Arrington.
This is perfect execution, and I do mean perfect because Porter's got good coverage, but the throw is over the outside shoulder so that Arrington's the only guy that had a chance to come down with it.
Took less than 5 minutes for Michigan to score on its opening possession. And the kick by Rivas down to Jakeem Gilmore at the 6. Indiana, a great kick return team this year, and Gilmore will start them out at the 31-yard line. Let's get an update from Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, Dave, just seconds before Michigan scored, Ohio State against Northwestern. Now, I know you're concerned about Ginn and Gonzalez, but you got to guard Brian Hartline at least a little bit. Troy Smith to Hartline, and the Buckeyes take a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, almost simultaneous to the Wolverine touchdown here. And again, we'll keep that score up in one corner of your screen, 7-0 Ohio State, as we keep this score in the opposite corner. And Indiana with its first possession now, with redshirt freshman quarterback Kellen Lewis out of Jacksonville, Florida, wasting no time before tossing one up deep, intended for Gilmore and broken up by Leon Hall, the outstanding corner from Michigan.
So what do you do if Leon Hall is one of the better corners in the country? You go after him on the very first play, but you hope he doesn't come down with the football. He very nearly did just that. I think it's a good idea, though. I think you just loosen it up and get after him early and make it clear that we're not here just to get through the day. We're going to try to win the game.
Gilmore, more the DB than Leon Hall was on that first down play, and under pressure, Lewis forced to throw that one away as Rondell Biggs was bearing down on it. 396 total yards for Kellen Lewis against the Golden Gophers last week, most since Antoine Randall L. back in 1999. 321 through the air, 75 on the ground for Lewis, the 5th best individual day in Indiana history. And he looks across the line today and he sees maybe the most dangerous defensive lineman in the country this year, Lamar Woodley.
Well, if there's one more dangerous than Lamar, it is his buddy Alan Branch, number 80, who's lined up on the nose of the center right now. What a load these guys are.
Woodley, the Big Ten sack leader with 11. Lewis steps up, feels pressure, and goes down to the 23. Alan Branch, you just talked about him. Branch, the junior from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, with the sack.
Please try to grasp, folks. Number 80 is 6'6". He weighs 330 pounds, and he can run as fast as Kellen Lewis. He was a great basketball player in high school. He ran the ball from running back in high school in New Mexico. I don't know where a guy like that comes from other than New Mexico.
Tyson Beatty, who comes from Australia, sends that one down for a fair catch to Breston at the 38, 39-yard punt with fairly significant wind at his back. So the Big Ten with Michigan and Ohio State trying to stay perfect. Wisconsin, a very quiet, almost uncredited 10-1. Only lost to number 1 Ohio State. They should be ranked a lot higher than 16, you'd figure. And the rest of the updated Big Ten standings. Iowa with a home loss to the Badgers, falling to a very disappointing 6-5. So Michigan's second possession. Ohio State already leading at Northwestern, now 13-0. Here's Hart dodging more red jerseys and picking up a yard where there really was none there to be picked up.
And those are the things that never get in the books for great running backs. Hart should have had a 4-yard loss there, and they come up 2nd and 9. So they got a chance to keep this drive alive because he made something out of nothing.
Boyd Carr has the riches behind Hart. He can play 3 talented backups whenever Hart needs a breather. Kevin Grady, Brandon Miner, and Jerome Jackson. Hart all the way so far. Henne with a fake to him. And then the throw to Carson Butler, his tight end. That's sniffed out pretty well at the 44 by the strong safety, Troy Grosfield. It'll be 3rd down. 15th catch of the year for the tight end Butler.
People who recall the '97 championship year for the Michigan Wolverines, this was one of their favorite plays to Jeremy Tooman. Brian Griese to Jeremy Tooman. DeBoard is back as the coordinator, and the boot is back. He calls it a waggle. You can call it either. We got a man down on the field.
Joe Kramer,
Kramer,
who is the junior defensive tackle from Urbana, Ohio.
Looks like Joe's going to be okay, but at any rate, that was a staple of that '97 Michigan offense, and you haven't seen it much in recent years, and of course it's been revived by Mike DeBoard, the fine offensive coordinator.
Well, Butler, of the 5 tight ends they've played, is by far the one he trusts the most, 15 catches. Brian Thompson, Chris McLaurin, no catches between them. Tyler Ecker has 3. Mike Massey has 7. And Butler that time set up a 3rd and 4. Michigan from its 44. Manningham going in motion. Henne with all day. And the throw juggled and then caught by Manningham, but he is driven out of bounds a yard shy of the marker. And Michigan forced to punt for the first time. Adam McClurg rushing over from middle linebacker to catch up with the speedy wideout Manningham.
Wonderful job by McClurg on the crossing route. He's in a zone. He sees Manningham coming across underneath. Keeps his feet. Manningham with the juggle, knocked out of bounds, 4th and short. And it looks like Michigan's going to at least go up and see if they can get Indiana to jump off sides. All kind of little trickery that goes on in today's football.
Now Michigan, one of the best teams in the country at this, along with everything else they do well, converting 4th downs. They need a full yard here, and they're not just trying to get Indiana to jump. They didn't need to. As they go to the power running of Hart behind the fullback Obi Olibo, and he goes straight to the secondary and easily picks up the 4th and 1.
You'll love watching the fullback here. This is a little old style Michigan. Number 40 Olibo, nice job, kept his feet moving. Good block on McClurg by the center Mark Beal, number 54.
Even though they snapped that one in their own end of the field, the Wolverines never hesitate. They go for it, and they get it on 4th and 1. And so Henne with a fresh set of downs. Again, plenty of time to sit back and pick out Adrian Arrington, who has the Michigan first down. He picks up 11 here. Let's check in with Reese Davis for a Sports Center in-game update.
All right, David, does not appear that the Buckeyes are at all interested in stumbling before the collision in Columbus next week. Antonio Pittman, who's closing in on 1,000 yards for the season, scores against Northwestern. Number 1, up by 2 touchdowns.
That didn't take long. Michigan didn't take long to go up 7-0 here on their first possession. Driving here on their second possession as one of Hart's backups, Jerome Jackson, breaks tackles and reaches the 21-yard line, picks up 16. The senior from Saginaw, Michigan. And again, Adam McClurg had to range far from his middle linebacker spot.
Jerome Jackson, a journeyman senior, breaking tackles, getting a chance to get in a football game. It's an important game regardless of who the opposition is, and a nice job again by the offensive line, especially in this case Adam Krause, number 57, the left guard.
Jackson earned some time early at his best day against Ball State. 6 carries, 68 yards in the win last week, but Hart right back in, and Mike Hart cuts that one down to the 15.
For 20, Hart, the ball carrier.
Jamie Curlew,
57, Curlew.
the redshirt freshman defensive end from Orlando, on the tackle. Michigan welcoming back to what they say is pretty much full health Mario Manningham. He was on the field at times last week against Ball State, but he didn't look like this Mario Manningham.
No, he just makes people look ridiculous, and then he makes circus catches, and it all looks so easy for him. It's just an amazing gift he has.
So a gain of 6 for Hart on first down, 2nd and 4. 5.5 minutes of the first. Henny play action into the end zone. Incomplete, as Will Myers comes over to make the play in the deep corner on the ball intended for Butler, the tight end.
What a nice job by Will Myers here, because this is a well-thrown pass. There's only been one ball today that was not a well-thrown pass by Henny. Butler with a chance to come down. Will Myers all over the field making tackles. He is the leading tackler on this football team, which is no longer a disgrace for a defense to have your free safety. A lot of tackles are funneled to the free safety.
Here's a 3rd and 4 for Michigan. Henny complete inside the 5-yard line. 1st and goal on the catch by Arrington. They pick up 11 yards.
For 39, Will Myers makes the stop.
Arrington having a big day already, coming across. Nice protection. It takes time to throw that dig. That's called a deep inside. The acronym dig. Myers there for the tackle, but not before the first down.
Arrington, who in the absence of Manningham became Michigan's 2nd leading receiver over the last couple of weeks. So 1st and goal, and just a yard this time for Mike Hart.
For 20, Mike Hart.
McClure comes up, helped out by Keith Burris.
51 for the Hoosiers. Adam McClure making the stop.
2nd and goal from there. Indiana trying to avoid falling 14-0 down in their final home game of the year, Parents Weekend in Bloomington. Final home game of the 2nd season as the Hoosiers head coach for Terry Hepner. No stopping the Michigan offense so far. Indiana 3 and out, the only time they had it. Again, they call on Hart, and again Hart powers after contact forward for another Wolverine touchdown. Will Myers had him, but he could not stop him.
Number 40, Obi Olibo again, the fine fullback who comes in. He just accelerates and knocks people on the ground. This time it was Troy Grossfield, number 5. The strong safety who came up to try to make the play, but he ran into a truck.
And that's Mike Hart with his 11th touchdown of the year. Rivas makes it 14-0 Wolverines. 4.5 to go, first quarter. 2 Michigan possessions and 2 Michigan touchdowns. So they have their way here in Bloomington so far.
ESPN's College Football is presented by Cars.com. Find the right car for you. Cars.com. And in part by Nivea for Men Replenishing Aftershave Balm for a shaving world gone mad.
Back at the campus of Indiana University in Bloomington, Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, and Heather Cox. 14-0 Michigan. They've had it twice. They have 128 total yards. Mike Hart has carried 11 for 55, including the 2nd touchdown. And Indiana has had it a total of 3 plays. They went backwards 8 yards. The kick return by Jakeem Gilmore will end at the 30. And let's get another Sports Center in-game update from Reese Davis.
Davis, Taco Bell studio update takes us to the Pac-10. Cal, one of those one-loss teams, never field a punt inside your own 10. unless you're Deshaun Jackson. That is 4th punt return for a touchdown this season. That's a Pac-10 record, and the 5th of his career. That's a Pac-10 record. He's a sophomore, guys. 7-3.
Yeah, Bill, he might be the exception. You let him back up occasionally inside the 10.
Let him back up in the end zone.
From the 31-yard line, Demetrius McCray has come in at tailback, and his carry brought down by Alan Branch. Nivea for men starters now offensively for Indiana. Didn't get a chance on their very brief opening possession, but they feature a dangerous sophomore tailback in Marcus Thigpen. First Hoosier in 25 years to have scored on a rush, a reception, and a kick return in the same season. On second down, the throw incomplete over the middle, intended for Ray Fisher. And Lewis again looking at a 3rd and long. Defensive coordinator Ron English in his 4th year on the staff, first as coordinator. How about this for an understatement? He says this year's been fun so far. Yeah, fun when you have the #1 rush defense in the country. You're giving up 30 yards per game on the ground and 13 points per game. That should be fun.
Yeah, at 1.3 yards per carry against the rush. Indiana, according to Coach Hepner, was going to try to run it some. So far, nothing doing.
Don't look for it here either. 3rd and 11. And whistles before the blitzers can get to Lewis.
I can't tell you how happy Lewis is that those guys heard the whistle.
Delay of game offense, number 15. That's a 5-yard penalty, and it remains 3rd down.
Here's the group Michigan sends out there defensively. And up front, they are led by Woodley and Branch. David Harris, though, the leading tackler with 69, making his 22nd consecutive start. Coaches say a great leader. We could not ask for any more than what we get from Harris, a senior from Grand Rapids, who has made the semifinalist list for the Butkus Award, playing above what were already pretty high expectations. So on 3rd and even longer, the pass to midfield is incomplete, thrown out of bounds for Andrew Means. Morgan Trent and Jamar Adams have been doubled over there along the sideline.
You're going to get pressure from these guys because what they do, they've got a variety of fronts and stunts to do it, but they end up with one-on-one blocking, and most of the guys that they have rushing, starting with Woodley and going right through the lineup, cannot be blocked one-on-one. That time Tim Jamison got there to make the hit, number 90.
Edie, nice job handling a high snap, and the wobbly kick unreturnable for Steve Reston as it rolls out at the 31. So the dueling score is Ohio State now 20-0 up at Northwestern. Michigan will try to match that when they get it for the 3rd time here with 3:18 to go in the 1st. Some of the pockets of Michigan fans here in Bloomington who have enjoyed the usual dominant performance by their defense. Indiana has yet to gain yardage on any of their first 6 plays from scrimmage. And this 3rd Michigan possession starts at their 31. 3:06 to go in the 1st quarter. So they've outgained the Hoosiers 128 to -9 as this possession begins with a short gain by Hart and a tackle by Adam McClure. Going to visit with the 3rd member of our crew, Heather Cox.
And sorry for the delay, guys. A little bit of audio trouble, but happy to be with you. Now, the big question coming into this game is, would Mario Manningham return to the form that he had with the team leading 9 touchdowns before he missed the majority of the last 4 games with torn cartilage in his knee? Well, guys, I think the early answer is yes. Already 2 catches. Now, offensive coordinator Mike DeBoer told me they'd use him just like they would before the injury, and more on him after this play.
And this is a 2nd and 9 carry again by Hart. And again hit first by McClure, who is ranging all over the field. Heather?
Coach DeBoer said that Mario changes the complexion of the game. The teammates know he has big play potential, so the energy on the field is amplified the minute he steps into the huddle. And clearly the numbers don't lie. With him, the Wolverines have been averaging 33 points a game. Without him, just 22.
Yeah, that tells a pretty obvious story. 22 yards per catch. You go over to Breston, who's probably the better known of the wide receivers. He's been out there 2 years longer, but Breaston averages less than 10 yards per catch, so they're completely different types of weapons for Chad Henne to go to. And without Manningham, Michigan not the threat to stretch you deep as they are with him back in the lineup. That throw intended for Mario and underthrown with coverage by Joe Kleinsmith. And at last, I think I can say this with some certainty, Michigan will punt. I thought they would before. They went for it, got a 4th and 1 and continued on a touchdown drive, but 4th and 4 here.
Well, that was just a poor throw by Henne. They would still have this drive alive. And you begin to get the sense of why Michigan is the #1 team in the country in time of possession. They've had it like 9 minutes and 20 seconds to 2:33 for Indiana so far today.
Zoltan Mesko. Parents from Romania, father a former Pro Bowler. Sophomore from Twinsburg, Ohio. Kicking to Tracy Porter, who has it at the 24. Indiana's going to need something from their excellent return game today. So far, nothing. And Porter punctuates the end of that return by putting the ball on the back of Charles Stewart, but not drawing the flag. Now let's check in again with Reese Davis.
All right, Dave. Northwestern's had the ball 4 times against Ohio State, turned it over 3 times and punted. This, the latest turnover. The shade picked off by Brandon Mitchell right down the sideline for the touchdown. The Buckeyes rolling toward Michigan next week. It's already 21-0.
Boy, barring some unscheduled naps, so much for the trap theory today. The swing pass caught by Ray Fisher, and the first positive yardage on any snap today by the Indiana offense.
And significant that it was done by Ray Fisher. Significant in that he's from the same high school as Ted Ginn, coached by Ted Ginn Sr., and he's a true freshman. Great speed. Nice presence there to make that catch, and he looks like he may be the only one in the Indiana uniform that's not intimidated.
So they go from -9 to -4 total yards now in the final minute of the first quarter. And the first quarterback draw of the day from Kellen Lewis. Look for this maybe a half dozen times today. Lewis keeps for the first down up near the 40.
Lewis starting to look like himself here, asserting himself a little bit, running with some authority. He has not looked like the guy that I studied on tape the last couple of days. He hasn't thrown with the same assurance. The Indiana team has not played with the poise that they did in the games in which they played well earlier. Maybe they'll get untracked here.
Kellen Lewis is their leading rusher. Came in with 333 yards, and that pass intended for Gilmore is incomplete. The Indiana receivers can't afford any drops today. You really, especially with a 14-0 hold, you're really asking for perfection. You knew that coming in if you're Terry Hepner. You've spotted the #2 team in the country, 14 points. You can't have any drops.
No, and Kellen Lewis has got to throw the ball well. That was not a well-thrown ball. It still should have been caught by Gilmore. But the young guy is up against the #1 defense he's seen, and it's taking its toll on everybody on this unit. You just hope if you're Indiana, you hope they get it together.
First give to Marcus Thigpen. Great speed, breaks a tackle, and is going to be close for the first down near midfield. Finally tackled by Morgan Trent, the corner. Thigpen, a state-ranked sprinter out of Detroit, but all Michigan in the first quarter at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. The #2 Wolverines lead Indiana 14-0. We're back in Bloomington. College football presented by Cars.com on ESPN. Big Ten action. #2 Michigan, making Lloyd Carr very happy through the first 15 minutes, leading 14-0, outgaining the Hoosiers 134-13. And on 3rd and short, movement but no flag, and Josiah Sears, the 3rd tailback, has the first down. So Indiana with a little offensive progress, and they had absolutely none of that in the first 15 minutes.
I guarantee you Ron English had them over there on the sideline, the Wolverine defense. I don't want them to make an inch. I don't want them to make this first down. I want you to get them stopped, and they darn near did it. He talks about practicing fast, physical. and execute every snap. They almost got the stop.
Actually, pretty quiet quarter for Lamar Woodley. They kept him as blocked as possible. And Indiana will call time here, discussing a 1st and 10 coming from midfield. So we'll return to Bloomington, 14-0 for the number 2 Wolverines.
Reese, Lou, and Mark with you in the studio, keeping an eye on Ohio State and Michigan. What have you seen so far that you like, Lou?
Well, I think about the University of Michigan. We know they're excellent on defense. But, boy, they run so well. I don't believe that Troy Smith's going to have the success scrambling this year like he has the past 2 years.
What's impressed me about Ohio State today is their defense. 3 turnovers forced, and they even scored on defense.
They had a pick 6. They've been dominant on D. They're up 21-3, guys. We'll keep an eye on it.
All right, Reese, back here in Bloomington, 14-0 Michigan. As after the timeout, it's 1st down and 10 from midfield for the Hoosiers. And Lewis steps up, feels pressure. And finally throws in a diving grab by Ray Fisher. The best play yet for a struggling Indiana offense.
We understand what Terry Hippner means when he says this guy gives us a chance. Great job of being on the move, and that field awareness that we talked about at the top of the broadcast, Kellen Lewis brings at the tender age of redshirt freshmanhood.
To coin a term, I guess.
Sometimes they just pop out.
Deepest drive yet for the Hoosiers from the 39. And again, Lewis does well to get anywhere near the line of scrimmage. Well, part of this weekend's festivities included last night's induction into the Indiana Sports Hall of Fame of Dick Enberg, sportscasting legend and Indiana graduate.
Thank you.
At least 2 degrees. How many degrees do you have from this
I have my
institution?
master's and my doctorate from Indiana. My undergraduate school was Central Michigan. In fact, mixed emotions. My daughter graduated from Michigan last spring, and she's watching in Manhattan the telecast with all her Wolverine buddies today.
2nd down and 11. Indiana continues to rely on the legs of Lewis. You got a doctorate in health and safety.
Here at Indiana, yes. And I taught and coached out on the West Coast at Cal State Northridge before Gene Autry decided that they needed somebody to do some sportscasting. But it all started here. I did the first game ever in this stadium. And in 1957,
well, this is really what you're in the Hall of Fame for.
Well, believe me, I'm not in for my athletic talent. I'm in because I talked a better game.
Greatest sports game show host ever, Sports Challenge. Welcome to Bob Feller.
Oh, met all my heroes. You know, I've rubbed shoulders with greatness for 50 years, Dave, and it's so nice. You know, you really can come home to your university, and this is a beautiful campus and beautiful people, Bill, as you know.
They
are. Just to be able to refresh those memories. They're indelible and they're beautiful.
You did the first game ever in this press box in this stadium?
In this stadium. When I started in 57, of course, the program has always been on low counts. Remember Phil Dickens at Wyoming? He had the side saddle tee. That was their offense in 57 at the old stadium that no longer exists. My last year here was 61, and I did the dedication game.
You were broadcasting, you were only 11 years old.
It was the first voice. They formed a network when I was here, and I won the audition. I was the first announcer of the Indiana University Sports Network. Don Fisher, a very talented guy, has been doing it for about 30 years now, is the announcer. And you know, we lived through a lot of long football seasons, but basketball always was refreshing.
And we should have been calling you Dr. Enberg all these years.
Well, it's you have a couple of honorary doctorates. Bill, you belong in that category.
No, I don't.
Academic All-America. I remember that in your collegiate days.
Of all the events you've done, we're talking Olympics, Super Bowls, Final Fours, everything. If you could relive one event, what would it be?
Well, young people, I lectured a couple of nights ago at the journalism school, and they asked that question. I said, for every sportscaster, if I could give you one wish for one game, it would be to call a no-hit, no-run baseball game. There is nothing dramatically better than the build-up. You get that 7th inning, and they're all zeros, and every pitch, every movement means something.
Nolan Ryan, Angel, no-hitters in your case. Lewis on 3rd and 2. And going deep. And intended for for Thigpen in the corner of the end zone and incomplete. Dick Enberg, a pleasure and honor to be in your presence. Congratulations for your induction into the Hall of Fame this weekend.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for
Enjoy
coming
your
by.
stay at Indiana.
Thank you so much.
One of the legends of our business paying us a visit here. Dick Enberg, Indiana graduate, as Lewis challenged the double coverage here and trying to hit Thigpen.
Yeah, Lewis showing his youth from time to time, throwing the ball precisely where he should not have. That's when you come off that and you get rid of it or you run it up the field.
So down 14-0. You go for it on 4th and 2, and the grab is made for the first down to the 23-yard line.
Again, awareness between Hardy and Lewis. They've been working all summer together. They came back and had a good camp. We sat in their presence yesterday. You could feel the chemistry between them. Just a nice throw to the outside. He knew his big guy would come down with it. That quick release, an unusual looking delivery and maybe a little bit low. Leon Hall on the coverage, so they went at the main man and made the first down. That's progress for this young offense.
First time those two connect today. And it keeps this possession going. Thigpen on the carry. Chris Graham comes up with the tackle for Michigan. Ohio State leading 21-3 now, as you see in the upper left corner of your screen. 5 minutes gone in the second quarter from Evanston. And Michigan finally forced to punt. That leads to this Indiana possession, which is now past the 4-minute and 52-yard mark. They had negative yardage on their first two possessions. From the shotgun, Kellen Lewis. And that throw over Ray Fisher and incomplete. Let's get another update from Reese Davis.
All right, guys, Miami and Maryland. This is the longest touchdown pass in Maryland history and the longest touchdown pass Miami's ever allowed. Sam Hollenbach to Darius Hayward Bay, hooking up for 96 yards. This after they'd hooked up on a 65-yard touchdown play. 14-0 Terps up.
Boy, any resemblance between this year's Miami and any other Miami you can think of continues to be just coincidental. Hit early by two big plays at Maryland. Lewis gunning and almost a diving interception on a ball intended for Gilmore.
Jamar Adams on the coverage. And what you see from this Michigan defense is one of those deals. You would swear there must be 14 of them out there, Dave, with white shirts on. There are too many of them. They're getting pressure. It looks like there's two people covering everybody, and that's where you come back to the bench. And finally, the offensive coordinator says there can't be double coverage on everybody, but that's how it looks. You can't block Woodley. You can't get past two guys down there around the receiver. It's just a great, fast, well-coordinated defense.
Austin Starr, 9 for 11. This is a 39-yard effort. And Starr has this one through. Indiana is on the board with 11.5 minutes to go in the first half. A near interception by Jamar Adams. And Indiana takes advantage, and they trail 14-3. Quick kickoff by Indiana, returned by Steve Breston for Michigan up to the 26-yard line. And the Wolverines now leading by 11, 14-3, take over from there. Terry Hepner finally got something going offensively, and I think maybe even more important than getting the points, Bill, was the confidence, because the Indiana offense had zero first quarter.
Far more. They didn't look like the same team we had seen move the ball against other good defenses. They finally awakened and they're starting to play.
Hart going back to work for Michigan. And storms his way for about a dozen. Mike Hart headed toward a 100-yard first half. 14 carries for 73 already. And one of the two Michigan touchdowns. The junior from Syracuse, following behind the blocking of Jake Long, the rest of the Michigan offensive line. And when called for, they'll get the fullback, Obi Olibo, in. He cleared some space out on a couple of short yardage possessions. Tyler Ecker, the tight end, in motion as Henne has time to set up and fire deep for Breston. And Breston brings it in over the shoulder and has a touchdown, 62 yards. First first touchdown of the year for the senior Steve Breaston.
Football is a game all about mismatches in today's football. You get a free safety like Will Myers manned up on a guy like Breaston, and he simply doesn't have the same foot speed. In this case, in his efforts to stay with him, he trips and falls. Breaston careless with the football there. Sometimes there's some unpleasant surprises, Steve, when you do that, buddy.
Garrett Rivas, 21-3 in both Evanston and Bloomington. Chad Henne could not have had an easier time. There wasn't a pass rusher within 10 yards of him.
No, great protection, beautiful throw. Breaston with his first touchdown of the year. But you better put that thing away, because sometimes people chase you down and knock it out of your hand when you least suspect it. And the bunch that he plays next week has the kind of speed to do that.
Breaston and Nick Davis of Wisconsin, the only two players in Big Ten history, 1,000 career yards in 3 categories: receptions, punt returns, kick returns. So it's odd to look up in game 11 and see that is his first touchdown catch of the year. Yeah, he almost pulled a Leon Lett. I think Dick Enberg called that Super Bowl where Leon Lett got chased down from behind.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Now, that I know Steve doesn't run like Leon, but you just don't take that chance. You put it away, you get it in the end zone, and make sure you get the touchdown.
So Michigan has shown that they can sustain drives and pound it away, and they strike quickly here. Just a couple of plays, all they needed to make it 21-3. And the kick bobbled by Gilmore finally finds the handle, but it costs him on the return. Tonight, 7 Eastern, ESPN 2 from the Southeastern Conference, as Tennessee tries to knock off the only SEC team to make it this far without a conference loss, visiting number 11 Arkansas. College football primetime on ESPN 2 Saturday. Available in high definition as the number 13 Volunteers try to sneak out a win in Fayetteville. To do so, they're going to have to control one of the best running backs in the country in McFadden. Houston not making a change at quarterback. Casey Dick starting. Mitch Mustaine, the freshman, will come off the bench. Demetrius McCray wiped out on the screen pass by David Harrison. Let's get a Reese Davis update.
All right, Dave, one SEC team with 1 loss has already fallen today in Auburn, and Florida off to a slow start against South Carolina. Mike Davis getting in for the Gamecocks. Trying to remember who's coaching South Carolina these days. Oh, yeah, Steve Spurrier with a 7-0 lead in his old stomping grounds. It's still early in the second quarter there. Nebraska, 2-touchdown lead on A&M. Virginia Tech's up by a field goal on Kent State.
A surprising early 21-7 deficit for Texas A&M. They had Oklahoma at home last week, lost that one by 1. Nebraska today, and then they close Thanksgiving Friday at Austin against Texas. 3rd and long coming for Kellen Lewis, near the shadow of his own goalpost, and trailing 21-3 in the middle of the second quarter.
That last drive, it was just a matter of seconds with the deep ball, is the one thing that Terry Hepner said his team simply could not get away with if they were going to stay close in this game. This is the other 3rd and long, and there's Mr. Woodley.
Lewis throwing off his back foot and incomplete as he tossed that one up for James Hardy to try and pull down. Not a bad idea. He is 6'7", but he was covered by the best they have back there in Leon Hall.
Chris Graham pressuring the quarterback and forcing this ball to be thrown earlier than it should have been. And the timing is completely thrown off by the ferocious pass rush and the marvelous coverage, mostly man coverage. We talked to that defensive coordinator, Ron English, and he said Hall can cover anybody.
Low line drive kick for Beatty. Rolls out right at midfield. And just 33 yards into the win that time for Tyson Beatty. Let's check in with Heather Cox.
Dave, certainly not the start the Indiana defense wanted after giving up 378 passing yards and 4 TDs to Minnesota. They worked all week on shoring up their pass defense. They focused on different assignments instead of making personnel changes. Indiana spent the week simplifying its coverage and simplifying its reads and really trying to avoid having its DBs on an island. But Coach Curry, do you think they've done that so far?
No. No, Heather, they're struggling.
They're having no success stopping this Michigan offensive line surge. And Hart just picks a white jersey to follow. He's going to get 5, 6, 7 yards minimum every time before finally Greg Brown, in this case, makes the first contact.
Well, the point that Heather makes is very valid. What you do when you have a bad day, and of course Indiana had a terrible day at Minnesota. Minnesota Cupido had a marvelous day, but you simplify and you make sure you don't have busts. So there haven't been busts. You've just been individuals getting beat in coverage.
Hart now at 79 yards as he is replaced by Brandon Miner. And Miner likewise keeps that surge going. It is just across the 40. We're to be third and less than 1. Miner, the freshman from Richmond, Virginia, Michigan's second leading rusher. Last week had his first 100-yard game, 108 on just 12 carries with a touchdown against Ball State. He has had to sit out 7 games this year with a hip flexor. But they're going to have him healthy in time for the 1 versus 2 matchup, which is on target as we see Ohio State now taking a 27-3 lead at Northwestern. Just a couple of minutes ahead of our game, and it is short by a couple of feet.
What we're seeing virtually every running play now, Dave, and this is getting more and more pronounced. We'll get a good look at it here. Look at the surge. That's what's called zone blocking. Look at the white shirts just surging, moving, keeping their feet. You got defensive linemen that are 6 and 7 yards down the field. They're just getting knocked back. Keith Burris, for instance, 7 yards back. He thinks he's fighting his blocker. That blocker's got his pads down, his feet churning, his knees bent. Here's another good look. Zone blocking, referring to the fact that everybody just takes a zone step to his left and continues to move and knocks anything in its way back.
Hart back in to dot the I and follow the block of Olivo as fullback. This is close, and I don't think he gets the first down here. I'm not sure he gains an inch.
Good job by Keith Burris that time. He was embarrassed. Somebody must have said, hey, they're up there talking about you getting knocked back. So he made the first hit, and McClurg came in to clean up. We got unofficially McClurg with 6 tackles here in the game. Nice job by the big guy there. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to fight back. They knock you back, you knock them back. And that's what Indiana's got to do. They've got to get their pads down and get tougher.
Boyd Carr's already converted 1 4th and 1. That was in his own end of the field. No question he's going to try it here. Look at the hole for Hart. And he gets about 3 or 4 yards after contact. And on 4th and 1, he picks up a good 7 before the safety, Will Myers, finally makes the tackle. So another Michigan possession is extended. Well, Wake Forest has surprised everybody this season. They're currently co-leaders in the Atlantic Division in the ACC. Tonight, they visit perennial conference power Florida State on ABC. Others will see Texas try to keep their BCS title hopes alive as they visit Kansas State. Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. ABC, 8 Eastern tonight. College football lives here. Brandon Miner chased down for, I think, what may be the first loss turned in by the Indiana defense today. Greg Middleton with the hit on Miner.
Indiana really high on Greg Middleton. Now, here's a true freshman. Here's a guy that was playing high school ball in Indianapolis a year ago. He's got enough talent. He beats the blocker. He comes clean in the backfield. Nice job. Good job in the backfield by Big Middleton.
Miner with a loss of 2, replaced by Jerome Jackson. Eddie with the fake to him. And Chad has to step up into some pressure, and he is brought down for his first sack at the 37 by Greg Brown. An update from Reese.
Dave, Ohio State promised they would not look ahead to Michigan. It might be safe to do so now. Troy Smith for the second time today finding Brian Hartline The Buckeyes all over Northwestern, 27-3 in the second quarter.
Well, this game has paralleled that game score for score pretty much throughout this first half. And we'll see if Michigan stalls here as they look at a 3rd and 13. Hart back in at tailback. They keep him in to block. Henne with time and delivers complete. Tyler Ecker, the tight end, is inside the 15-yard line, a gain of 22 on just his 4th catch of the season.
This is a nice job by Ecker, who didn't even start the game. He has been a starter in prior games. The protection allows for the big fella to come across the zone defense. Pretty good coverage by Klein Smith who breaks from his 3-deep position and has a chance to break on the ball, but not quickly enough.
Ecker sets him up first down at the 14. And Jackson unable to get the corner turned. Is brought down by Middleton.
I'll tell you, the true freshman Greg Middleton is really impressive. He's making a statement here. He made the tackle in the backfield. He pressured the quarterback 2 plays ago, not the previous play, but the one before that. Excellent pressure on Henne in there. He's across the line making yet another play.
He's the reason that this entire Indiana team is going to bear watching the next couple of years. In their front 9 in their defensive line, they only graduate 1 player, and that's the player ahead of Middleton, Kenny Kendall. Right into the end zone, and he's picked off. And a big return. Leslie Majors out near the 30. Majors turns in the kind of play Indiana has to have to hang with Michigan, and they turn away a Wolverine scoring opportunity. Majors with the pick and a return of 30 yards. Indiana ball, 3:10 to go in the half.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by John Hancock. The future is yours. And Singular, raising the bar.
Back in Bloomington on a drizzly, gray, breezy 40-degree afternoon. 21-3. Terry Hepner sees a key takeaway on the Leslie Majors interception and the return out to the 30-yard line. A return, by the way, ended by the man who threw it, Chad Henne.
Sort of.
Plenty of time. Well,
sort of.
Much as he could.
Sort of a tackle.
Plenty of time for the Hoosiers to make it more interesting as Lewis goes back to work, and he starts with a completion to James Bailey. Here's today's Game Track presented by John Hancock. First touchdown of the 3 for the Wolverines on that short fade to Adrian Arrington. Hart with 17 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown, and 62 yards on the perfect toss from Henne to Breston. Indiana answering with a 39-yard field goal by Austin Starr, 21-3 inside the final 3 minutes now, the first half. And another short toss for Bailey. Out of bounds at the 45 with an Indiana first down.
Chad Henne would love to have this throw back. Watch the corner at the top of your screen. That's Leslie Majors. He's a floater. There's nobody threatening his zone, so he's coming from left to right as Henne sees it. Henne's reading from right to left. He never sees him and throws the ball right between the 2 and the 8, and Majors says, "Thank you so much."
First real mistake for Chad Henne today.
Why is this man smiling?
Was that a smile or a wince? Maybe a grimace. Here comes the blitz. And Lewis feeling it. Turns. And throws for Ray Fisher. No, he caught it out of bounds. Incomplete.
Yeah, and he had run out of bounds and come back in. This guy's going to be something special. You can see it. The true freshman from Glenville, Ohio. The Ted Ginn coach, Ted Ginn Sr. that is, the Ted Ginn coached young man really has some ability, and you can just see what's going to happen in the future for this Indiana receiver corps with their young quarterback. Nice attempt there to get something done with this swarming Michigan defense.
Yeah, the feet are inbounds here, but as you pointed out, they were already out of bounds.
His whole foot didn't even get down there, but it was very close. You can see the athletic ability he has, and they also say he's the fastest guy on the team.
So 2nd down and 10 with 2:43 in the half. And again, the Wolverines with the blitz. The deep throw will draw a flag intended for Hardy.
Good call. Yes, indeed. And here's what happens. Lewis gives you a chance in the game for so many reasons, and I'm using Terry Hepner's words now. He gives us a chance because he can run out of trouble. He can break contain.
Pass interference.
Here's the call.
Defense number 21. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
The reason that was called on Ryan Mundy is because he had his body between Hardy and the football, and he has to give Hardy a chance. He can't be shoving Hardy. In the view of the official, that right elbow comes out, and he's forcing the receiver away from where the football is thrown, and so you get the 15-yard penalty. Now, Indiana got a little something to work with, a little confidence.
Plenty of time and one timeout left. Looking right, throwing back left to Bailey, and that's been the featured play on this possession. Lewis with the short toss to James Bailey. And let's get an update in studio from Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, coming up on the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report, Mark May and Lou Holtz will join me. The Buckeyes are showing why they are ranked number 1 in the nation, just as Michigan is proving why they're deserving in number 2. We'll tell you why it could be a devastating day for the national title hopefuls in the SEC, and Steve Spurrier's homecoming when we come back.
Well, sticking with what works, Lewis again throwing complete to Bailey, and Bailey's going to have a first down just inside the 30 against the coverage of Leon Hall.
Now, there's some cliches that became cliches because they are true. We asked Hardy yesterday, do you think you're going to be allowed to have single coverage very much? He just laughed and said, not a chance. So what's happening is Indiana's taking advantage of the fact that there's single coverage on James Bailey, and they're just throwing one hitch after another, and that's the best offense they've shown.
Hardy, the inside receiver right this time on the quarterback draw. There is room to roam up the middle, and Lewis spins down to the 16 with another Hoosier first down, a gain of 13.
This guy's a special player. Again, field awareness of where the tacklers are, making the first down, and you don't see him sliding. And I think in his maturing process, he'll have to learn to get on the ground and not take all those shots. For now, he's just a football player. He's going to be a great one.
And their leading rusher on the season coming in. To the back corner of the end zone, a jump ball for Hardy and incomplete as they test the best cornerback there, Leon Hall.
Number 29, Leon Hall on the cover.
Terry Hepner, the second-year Indiana head coach, on his talented redshirt freshman quarterback.
He gives us a chance with his, he's our leading rusher, and sometimes it's because we call plays by design for him to run. Partly is, oh, hold your breath. He just took off again. Look out. Something's, as Bobby Bowden would say, something's fixing to happen.
Well, Bill, Indiana has 33 yards rushing. It's because of Lewis, and that's more than Michigan gives up per game, although he gives it away here, throws it right to Morgan Trent, and so much for the Indiana scoring opportunity. Mercy.
Well, we bragged on him, and he deserves every bit of it, but it is true that this is his first year, and sometimes the ball just gets away from him. It's hard to overthrow Hardy at 6'7", and Hardy had a shot at this, but here we go. Hardy is the big guy that's the third man in at the top of your screen, or to the right of your screen. He's got the throw. He's got the touchdown if he just hits him. Instead, he goes over. Morgan Trent picks it off.
Boy, the legs of Lewis help set that chance up, and the arm of Lewis ends the opportunity.
What's red hot in Indiana? What else? Newsweek says it's Indiana University. Check us out at indiana.edu.
Terry Hepner living with the talent but also the inexperience of his redshirt freshman quarterback, Kellen Lewis, who gets Indiana the scoring chance and then gives it up with a badly overthrown pass.
Well, he reminds me of Antoine Randall L. in this same uniform, in this same stadium, at the same stage of development. And Antoine made some mistakes, too, in that early going. But this guy's going to be really, really good, and I'm sure the Indiana coaches hope that he's as good as Randall L. I can tell you this, he makes the same kind of impression with his intelligence and his awareness.
A little bit bigger than Antoine Randall L. He's got probably at least a couple inches on him. Lewis listed at 6 feet. Antoine in boots wouldn't approach that. Hart not able to turn the corner or stop the clock as he's brought down by Leslie Majors.
Antoine in boots.
In high heel boots. In platforms.
You never cease to amaze me, Mr. Barnett. You find a way to paint a vivid picture. Yeah, but Randall L., I just think is one of the most exciting football players ever. And I think this guy's got the same kind of potential.
Well, we used to watch him here as a quarterback, wondering if he'd get a chance in the NFL. And not only did he get a chance, he turned it into a very lucrative career. So Lloyd Carr and Michigan will head to the locker room halfway to an 11-0 record, taking care of business so far, up 21-3 as we join Reese Davis for our Pontiac Performance halftime report.
18-point lead in Bloomington, Michigan, avoiding the trap and headed toward that collision in Columbus coming up next week between number 1 and number 2. Mike Hart powering through the Hoosier defense. His Wolverines on top of Indiana, 21-3 at the break.
The Pontiac Performance Halftime Report is powered by Pontiac. Vote for this week's Pontiac game-changing performance. Go to ESPN.com, keyword Pontiac.
Back at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana, college football presented by Cars.com. And Chad Henne in Michigan on top 21-3. The only chance this game had to become interesting was right before the half, and Kellen Lewis threw an interception to Morgan Trent in the end zone. That preceded by Henne's only interception of the first half, and he threw it at the goal line to Leslie Majors. So that exchange at the end of the second quarter, keeping it an 18-point Wolverine advantage.
Well, there are a couple of ways to define interesting. It got interesting in the second quarter because Indiana had 7 first downs to only 4 for Michigan. The time of possession was almost dead even, with Indiana having the edge in the second quarter, 7:47 to 7:13, when in the first quarter it was something like 11-4 in favor of Michigan. So Indiana settled down and got over its intimidation factor and is at least playing better.
And they're going to get the ball to begin the second half. Jared Rivas' kick. Returned from the 8 by Marcus Thigpen, one of the best in the country, who breaks this one up near midfield. He has 3 touchdown returns to lead the nation. The first Hoosier with more than 1 in a season, and that one comes back 38.
Man, he's fun to watch. This is well blocked. Properly caught right in the middle of his body, and that's the way kick returners are supposed to catch the football. Look at his agility and speed. Nice job. No fear. Hit the holes that he had, and they start at the 45.
Figured today they'd need something from him, maybe a touchdown return. They might need their defense to score, and they could not afford mistakes, certainly not an interception in the end zone the way they ended the first half. They start the second with Demetrius McCray unable to outrun the defensive end, Lamar Woodley. And Heather Cox spoke with the coaches at halftime. Heather?
Indeed, and I asked Coach Hepner if he was pleased with the fact that they already have 3 more rushing yards in this game than Michigan allows in an entire game. And he said, no, absolutely not. Points are the only thing that matter. We have to eliminate the mistakes. Michigan really makes you pay. Now, as far as Lloyd Carr goes, I asked about his philosophy of playing his starters throughout the second half, and he said he will do whatever it takes to win. He thinks they've defended the deep pass well. Then I asked if he knew about the Ohio State score or if he wanted to. He said no.
Here's a short toss for James Hardy. He's close to the first down. Lloyd somehow is aware of the Ohio State score.
Lloyd's a real good friend of mine, and he doesn't lie very often. But if he had a straight face when he said that to Heather, you need to ask him that again. Of course, I wouldn't go over there right now.
Yeah, that was your chance.
You're talking about an intense competitor. Of course, all these guys, they wouldn't be Big Ten head coaches. They all want to win so much, and they're so smart.
Catch by Hardy just short of the first down, and a flag flies. We haven't had many of those. As McCray is again brought down by Woodley.
Ball carrier. There is a flag.
Holding Indiana. Each team only 1 penalty in the first half.
During the run, holding, offense number 74. It's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. It remains 3rd down.
Well, it's the bane of an offensive lineman's existence that the only time you get your name noticed, that's Chris Mangiero, who's a senior, and he just, whoops, oh, Chris, they're not going to, you can't do that, son. That was a hog-tie takedown. That was a necktie takedown. He had a hold of Terrence Taylor, and Terrence could make you do that. He's a heck of a nose guard, 300 pounds packed into a 6-foot body.
Mangiero, one of 21 departing seniors in their final home game at Memorial Stadium today. Lewis chased into a sack. David Harris, the middle linebacker.
Now, we talked a lot about Ron English today, the defensive coordinator for Michigan. He's made some changes. He took over from a longtime great coordinator named Dave Herman, who went on to the NFL, but he has a lot of different looks, and that's David Harris, the middle linebacker, who's up in there hitting the A-gap, and he's in the backfield in a heartbeat. A lot of new looks for Michigan, tough to protect.
Tyson Beatty, wind at his back, easily his best kick. Preston back at his 18. First Hoosier missed, and now it's trouble. Beatty, the only man back, no chance of stopping Preston. Touchdown, Michigan. 82 yards.
15, Preston on the kick return. Touchdown, Wolverines.
He has broken a 4-way tie for the Michigan career record. That is the 4th touchdown return of the career for Steve Breaston.
I'd like to say that was well blocked, but that just wouldn't be the truth. 2 tacklers were on him immediately. Both ducked their heads and dove rather than wrapping him up. That could have been a 3-yard return as easily as it was an 80.
Rivas adds another extra point.
Kick is good.
Talk about mixed emotions. Beatty gets off his best kick, a 47-yarder, and then he finds himself on the island charged with stopping Breaston. Couldn't do it. 82-yard return, 28-3. Can't have a much bigger day than Steve Breaston so far. He has a 62-yard touchdown catch and an 82-yard touchdown on a punt return. 4th return touchdown of his career.
Well, it had to be
that tie, and he has the record by himself now.
I guarantee you he was taking a little heat from the guys in the locker room. I mean, when you're going to score a touchdown, Steve, you got 45 catches, you must be slow. So he doesn't have to hear that anymore.
Problems mounting for Indiana. Thigpen bobbles that kick and returns it only to the 12-yard line.
But this is actually well covered. Both Tracy Porter, who's coming down from the top of the screen, and James Bailey at the bottom. Here's Bailey. Now, this is going to be cut back inside, and he's got a perfect shot, and all he's got to do is keep his head up, drive his head across, and make the tackle. Instead, he ducks his head, dives at the ball carrier. No good ball carrier goes down with that kind of tackle. So the coverage was good. You just got to finish the play.
So backed up at his 12, now down 28-3. Lewis, Indiana offense back to work, and Michigan defensively teeing off. David Harris nails Marcus Thigpen.
But like I said, this defense is intimidating. This is the most intimidating defense I've seen this year. This is what I mean. Look at that. You got somebody at your feet, so you can't really get your pads down and explode. And your Thigpen, you hit it up in there with all 190 pounds, and you get drilled. David Harris with 240 running as fast as you do.
Another loss. It took a couple of Indiana possessions and all but 1 minute of the first quarter for them to gain on any play. Thigpen almost bent backwards as he again runs into Harris, trying to get back to the original line of scrimmage.
David Harris showing NFL scouts exactly what they want to see. Can this guy explode and shut down an offense between the tackles? The answer is absolutely. Now you could say, well, there's no blocker on him, but his acceleration, the quality of his angles, and his sense for where the football is going to be shows that he's got a future. We're going to watch this guy play a long time. Number 45, Harris.
Leading tackler for the #1 rush defense in the country, allowing 1.3 yards per carry, 30 yards per game. They're at 26 right now, -7 in the second half. Nowhere for Gilmore to go, and Jakeen finally runs out of room at the 14.
I have not seen a group of linebackers that run like these Michigan linebackers, with one exception, and that's the bunch from Ohio State a year ago. A.J. Hawk, Carpenter, and that group could run about like this, and they, of course, were the dominant defense in the country.
And they were supposed to be irreplaceable. Or
yeah, they
so
got a
some
bunch.
thought.
They got a bunch now that run almost like that.
Edey got off a 47-yarder last time. Stands at his own 1, and that's the only way to make sure Breaston doesn't do any damage to you. Out of bounds with 9:41 to go in the third quarter. Henne and the Wolverines back to work after a 43-yard kick, leading 28-3.
And Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
Bloomington Courthouse on the more picturesque town squares you'll find here in the Midwest. 28-3 Michigan. Dave Barnett, Bill Kerr, and Heather Cox. The Wolverines in position to move to 11-0. Ohio State, as we continue to track their score at Northwestern, also up in dominating fashion, 33-10 with just 3 minutes gone in that second half. Wolverines back to work now to take over with great field position and hard carries brought down by Keith Burris. All right, you have matched up position by position, #2 Michigan and #1 Ohio State, starting with the quarterback. You give the edge there, obviously, to the Heisman favorite, Troy Smith.
Well, just remember when you saw those two beautiful girls back in high school, the one you saw most recently looked the best to you. Well, I've seen these two teams in the last few weeks because I was there for the Ohio State-Indiana game.
Brandon Miner on that carry. Yes, continue with your beautiful girl analogy.
And so the one you've seen most recently looks a lot better than the other one. And then you see the other one and you think, gee, I don't know, maybe this one looks better. So Ohio State looks so dominant that day. Michigan's looked so dominant this day. And yet I am forced to make these decisions. But I need some help from Heather. Let's talk to Heather.
Well, a little bit of an update on Ohio State quarterback Troy Smith. He's playing today with a sore right thumb. He said he wouldn't use the injury as an excuse for subpar performance last week, but he did admit that the injury happened quite a while ago, but it continues to get worse and worse as the season goes on.
Here's a 3rd and 3, and Henne on play action, drilled as he lets it go for Preston. And his big day continues with a first down to the 29. 23 yards.
Yeah, I saw Henne in the Ohio State-Michigan game last year because I was there. Here's Preston again, just having an outstanding. This is what he does best. He's an inside receiver, usually lines up in a slot position, and he finds open spaces. Henne knows he's going to take the shot there. Geno Jackson clean again. He steps up, delivers the football. I'm very impressed with Henne today.
He's 10 out of 14 for 164, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jerome Jackson with a flag down. Jackson, one of 3 tailbacks Michigan has rotated in. Keith Burris makes the tackle. Illegal motion, Indiana.
Illegal motion, offense number 13. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. It remains first down.
Greg Matthews, an outstanding true freshman prospect. Had a lot of speed from Orlando, Florida. There you see Breston with his day. 3 receptions, 103 yards. That's not a bad average. 34.3.
That includes a 62-yard touchdown, so 5-yard mark off. 1st and 15 Wolverines. Jackson again trying the right side. And into the secondary. Chased down again by Burris, the defensive tackle. All right, so quarterback, slight edge, it sounds like, for Troy Smith. Wide receivers, come on, pick a group. You can't check both groups of wide receivers.
I checked both groups. I think it's a dead heat. 2 great groups of wide receivers. We've seen Breston emerge today. Running backs, I think Ohio State's got a little bit more explosive group of running backs. O-line, D-line, linebackers. I mean, what Michigan has done today is just show me that they've got a slight edge in those areas, and I think that'll win the game. DBs, special teams, Ohio State has the advantage for sure.
Jackson right up the middle, first down to the 17. And you like Michigan, and did I hear you say by a field goal in OT?
By a field goal in OT. I think it's going to be a game for the ages. I love both the teams. I think they're extremely well coached. I think they're disciplined. They're tough as nails. I think it'll be a great football game. I would pay to get a chance to be at the 50-yard line.
Well, it's amazing that as long as they were the Big 2 in the Big 10, as long as it was Woody against Bo, they never squared off 1-2 in the country. You had to figure there were a lot of years where they had a chance to be undefeated when they played each other to end the season. But this would be the first time. Jackson with a great cutback and near a touchdown. He's finally caught at the 1 by Geno Johnson, a gain of 17.
And Jake Long, the big, fine offensive tackle, who's a co-captain and of whom Lloyd Carr speaks so glowingly. Just sealed that hole, did a good athletic move. He didn't just knock somebody back that time, but showed his footwork. There's Jake. Got some incredible tattoo work there. I'd love to know what that means. But man, can he play football, and Lloyd Carr speaks more glowingly of him than any other player I've ever heard him talk about.
Jerome Jackson continues on for the touchdown on a drive that mostly featured him on the ground. He has his 2nd touchdown of the year. Out of Saginaw, former Michigan High School Player of the Year, came off his best game of the season, 6 carries for 68 yards against Ball State. And he earns some serious second-half playing time here today, and he makes it 34-3. 5:37 to go, third quarter. The Michigan route continues. Garrett Rivas just banging that one off the upright, and he misses his 2nd point after the year. So 34-3 it remains after the Jerome Jackson touchdown. Michigan on track for that meeting with number 1 Ohio State next week. Jerome Jackson, number 24, the senior from Saginaw, has put Michigan up 34-3 with 5:37 to go in the third quarter. ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com. From Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Terry Hepner, the 2nd-year Indiana head coach, has seen his offense put together just 86 total yards so far, 26 on the ground. They've lost 7 here in the second half. Michigan with a couple of touchdowns. And now this return by Thigpen as he searches and does not find any room around the corner. Today's game track presented by John Hancock. Breston with over 100 yards on 3 catches. That includes a 62-yard touchdown catch. This an 82-yard punt return for the first score of the third quarter. And Jerome Jackson just posting the 2nd. Hoosiers start from their own 19. Lewis through the air, 10 for 22, 60 yards and an interception on a ball that had a chance to make it 21-10 just before the half. Intercepted in the end zone. Demetrius McCray for a short gain. Well, we look back at some of the legendary meetings between Ohio State and Michigan. In 1969, it looked like Woody Hayes and Ohio State would repeat their national title from '68, but Garvey Craw for Michigan, one of his 2 touchdowns on the day. Second quarter, Michigan's Barry Pearson with a 60-yard Steve Breston imitation. That set up another Wolverine score. And Michigan pulled off the upset 24-12, and the Bo Schembechler era had its first signature moment. Lewis through the air, and a stretching grab at the 16-yard line made by Andrew Means down to Heather Cox.
Well, speaking of Bo Schembechler, 3 weeks ago, he fell ill while taping his weekly television show. He was rushed to the hospital where he underwent a procedure in which a device that combines a pacemaker with a defibrillator was implanted into his chest. Unfortunately, this wasn't the first time. He'd had 2 prior heart attacks and 2 quadruple heart bypass operation. The good news, the legendary coach is progressing well, watching the game from home today.
Happy with what he's watching, no doubt. Lewis on the keep. He has been the sum total of the Indiana running game. He was their leading rusher for the season coming in, and he's got a first down with a yard to spare. So our John Hancock game track now with the Breston punt return, his school record 4th return of his career for a touchdown. And that followed shortly by Jerome Jackson's 1-yard scoring run. Revis with the extra point hitting the left upright, keeping it 34-3. First down, scrambling. Lewis. Demetrius McCray to the 35. David Harris chasing the ball from sideline to sideline as Michigan's leading tackler on the year.
45, Dave Harris is on the stop.
I think we just broke a record, Dave. This is the longest screen pass on record for a plain drop back screen to a back. And David Harris once again showing all of us, everybody in America, hey, I can run with these backs. Not only can I fill tackle to tackle, I can get to the sideline if necessary.
Lewis now 7 of his last 10 through the air. 12 of 24 for 70 yards for the day. Berry back inside the 30, fumbles, but Indiana gets a lineman on the recovery. Tim Jamison supplying the pressure, and recovered by Kyle Thomas, the left tackle.
Another good example of what Michigan can do as they stunt. Jamison lined up over here to the right. If we can stop it right here. Jamison came from way over here to the right. He was lined up outside your screen, outside the viewing area. He loops up inside a linebacker blitz, and it's almost impossible to block, especially with the kind of speed this team has.
That turns into another 3rd and long, 3rd down and 9. Lewis for Hardy has had a fairly quiet day. That should be enough for another first down just to the 41. Another David Harris tackle. It doesn't matter who has the ball. It can be somebody else's wide out. He's not necessarily probably supposed to be covering, but he'll still make his way over, make the tackle somehow.
Well, I spent a lot of time talking about this magic between Kellen Lewis and James Hardy. What Michigan defense has done, Ron English has just schemed them out of their magic by bracketing and double covering Hardy most of the day, so he hadn't been very active.
Hardy has come in with 19 career touchdown catches in just 18 games. Lewis has had a couple of decent quarterback draws, almost fumbles this one away. Let's get an update from Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, you probably saw the score up in the corner of your screen. Ohio State now at 40. Here's how they did it. Troy Smith, his 4th touchdown pass of the day. This one to Anthony Gonzalez, 40-10. The only thing the Buckeyes have done wrong, they botched a couple of extra points.
Well, and so has Michigan today. That's the kind of thing that coaches would lose some sleep over the week before a game like this, I think.
Oh, coaches invent things to lose sleep over before games like this. I mean, of course, there's never been a game like this in the Big Ten.
Lewis on 2nd down and 9, and not looking for that pass was Ray Fisher. But he finally did turn around. He looked over his left shoulder, and Lewis threw it over his right.
Willis Behringer, number 19, getting the start at free safety today. The veteran just sees a nice touchdown coming. He fails to do one thing. Look at the tip of the ball and catch it, Willis. Catch the ball, and you run for the touchdown. Nice break on the ball by the veteran free safety.
And another 3rd and long. Last time they picked it up with Lewis hitting Hardy. Hardy 4 catches for 30 yards today. Any defense would be happy holding him to 4 for 30. This is James Bailey, quickly wrapped up by Leon Hall. The NFL scouts who come through Ann Arbor will say may have the best cover skills of any quarterback they've scouted this year in the country.
Yeah, he's a 4-year starter, and when you're at a program like Michigan, it's almost impossible to be a 4-year starter because very, very seldom does anybody get a chance to play as a true freshman, especially out there at the corner position. But that's what happened, and Hall's just gotten better every year.
Beatty drops back, and Michigan calls time with 1:04 to go in the 3rd quarter. Expecting the punt when we return to Bloomington. 34-3 Wolverines. Fans in Indiana finding something worth dancing about. Probably just the cold weather. Might well dance, keep warm. Michigan fans hopping up and down in this chill. It's got to be somewhere in the 30s, and the wind has been a factor all day, and it continues to pick up left to right. It rained earlier today, but we've stayed dry for our entire contest here at Memorial Stadium. So Beatty, after the Michigan timeout, gets a Preston fair catch. He bobbles and hangs on at the 12. All right, so we showed you one of the memorable Ohio State-Michigan games from '69. 4 years later, Ohio State number 1, Michigan number 4, 4th and inches. Dennis Franklin to tie it at 10. Soon after, Greg Hare intercepted by Tom Drake of the Wolverines. That drive stalls. Mike Lantry from 44 yards out wide right, and it ended 10-10. And I would think up until this year, that was probably the premier Michigan-Ohio State game. Next Saturday, first time since 1935 for a conference to have 2 teams 10-0 or better. Michigan leads the all-time series. 9 prior matchups, both teams ranked in the top 5, and Ohio State 5-3-1 in those games. But again, they have never played as the top 2 teams in the country, as Jerome Jackson stays in and breaks another long one. Brought down by Troy Grossfield. Not before a gain of 16. Both Ohio State and Michigan heading full steam ahead toward that battle in Columbus next week.
Just talking about all the precedent-setting things that you're bringing up, Dave, all of which is fact. But one thing that those teams in the past did not have was the kind of media scrutiny that these guys do. These guys are going to be interviewed as if it were the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know how they're going to get to class or take care of their regular business. And the team that can face those distractions and get ready will be the team that will be the best prepared.
Well, both coaches have national championships. Lloyd Carr in '97, Jim Tressel in '02. One of them may add to their collection on the mantle before this year's done. This telecast available on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Plasma. And we're back at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, and Heather Cox. ESPN College Football presented by Cars.com, and Lloyd Carr and the Wolverines having their way 34-3 as we begin the 4th quarter. They have allowed only 114 total yards, 326 almost perfectly balanced for the Wolverines. 162 on the ground, 164 through the air. Jerome Jackson continues to give Mike Hart the second half off at tailback. Let's get a Reese Davis update from the studio.
Dave, yet another one-loss team being challenged. Cal in Arizona. Cal was up 17-3 when Chris Henry plows into the end zone to make it a one-touchdown game. And remember, Arizona's won its last 3 November games against ranked teams.
At some point, Mike Stoops has got to get it going. This may be the week out there in Tucson.
Well, I know he would be very happy if that were the case. When you try to get those things going, sometimes you feel like you're birthing quintuplets and you can't quite get to the next one.
Second down, 11. Brandon Minard takes the handoff, followed by fake reverse.
46, Jake Powers makes the stop.
But while they were faking that reverse, which is supposed to give Ohio State something to think about, Beal comes off the center, number 54. And what we want to show you is a reference to what Mike DeBoer, the offensive coordinator that has rejoined Michigan after a previous stint, went over, became head coach at Central Michigan, now back as offensive coordinator, has gone to a zone scheme in large measure because Mark Beal has the ability to reach what we call nose guard one techniques. And when we get a chance to show you that again, we will.
Henny sacked on 3rd and long by Kenny Kendall. That's his team leading 4th sack of the year.
And when you're Lloyd Carr in Michigan and you're getting ready to play the Buckeyes next week, this is not what you want to see late in the game. You put in a substitute. You put Corey Zibble in there, let him play Zerbel to play left tackle. You drop back to pass, and your star quarterback gets ear hole from the blind side. Not a good shot.
The only senior defensive lineman in the 2 deep for the Hoosiers. Kenny Kendall comes away with that sack. And the punt by Mesco. Return with a flag down by Tracy Porter. We'll see if this return will stand. If it does, Indiana is in tremendous field position. After a 37-yard punt, comes back 24 yards.
Yep, Terry's upset, and he should be. It's going to be J.T. Owens, number 24, with a push in the back, I'm afraid.
Disregard the flag. There's no foul on the play.
Well, then J.T. Owens' body language when he got up and displayed dismay that, hey, I didn't do it, was correct. How often do you see that? Good for you, J.T.
They actually believed him. Indiana sets up on the Wolverine 37-yard line. And trailing 34-3. Clock rolls 12:40 to go. They have, again, just 28 yards on the ground against the nation's #1 rush defense, which gives up 30 per game. Lewis again chased and forced into the throwaway. So playing out the scenario, Ohio State, Michigan, one of those teams will have a loss. There's speculation that if it's a close game, then the public sentiment will be behind a rematch in the national championship game in the Cardinals' new stadium in Glendale, Arizona. But there's also going to be public sentiment for a one-loss team to get a shot in that game. And there's a chance that it could be a Texas-Michigan rematch of the Rose Bowl from 2 years ago, or a Texas-Ohio State rematch from the game won 24-7 by the Buckeyes in Austin this year. Demetrius McCray finally gets a little bit of room around the corner and is knocked out of the 32 by Johnny Sears. Well, Texas still has some business to take care of to keep that scenario alive. They're part of Saturday Night Football on ABC tonight, along with number 18 Wake Forest at Florida State at 8 Eastern. Texas visits Kansas State. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines on ABC. 8 tonight. College football lives here. Texas still has Wildcats tonight and Texas A&M the day after Thanksgiving in Austin. And then the Big 12 championship. There's business to be taken care of there. In and out of the hands of James Bailey. They're a one-loss team that can state a case. There are a number of others, though. And as we look again at the incompletion, that's going to make this discussion, I think, completely different than last year when it was obvious that USC and Texas were the 1-2 matchup that we wanted to see and we would get a chance to see. That may not be nearly as clean a picture this year. Hoosiers go for it on 4th down and 5. And in the 3-receiver set, Lewis with time, and the ball is bobbled and dropped by Andrew Means, and Michigan holds.
Well, you're exactly right on all counts, Dave, about the one-loss thing. And I'm standing here listening to you, and I'm wondering what's going on with Florida and South Carolina. At last word, Florida seemed like they might be in a little trouble.
Any trouble Michigan might have had bobbled away here, but
Reese Davis, Lou Holtz, and Mark May with you on ABC. Ohio State's taking care of business just as Michigan is. They're going to meet number 1 versus number 2 for the first time. What's going to be different when we see next Saturday, Mark?
Troy Smith will be running the football in his 2 games against Michigan. He's averaged 91 yards a game, and he's had 2 rushing touchdowns. Watch for Troy Smith to run the football against the Wolverines.
But what the Wolverines have to continue to do is play great defense. And by that, I mean this. They average 3.5 sacks per football game. In addition to that, 8 lost yardage plays. Let me tell you, it's difficult to get a first down when you lose lost yardage.
All right, Justin Zwick, you saw a moment ago in the Ohio State game warming up. Want to make sure Troy's ready, guys.
all right, Reese, and back here in Bloomington, you were just wondering about South Carolina, Florida, Bill, and the Gamecocks just take a 10-7 lead in Gainesville. And Michigan with a 34-3 lead to protect here early in the 4th quarter. They continue to get backup running backs on the field. This is freshman Carlos Brown with his first carry from Franklin, Georgia. So that's a one-loss team, Florida, trailing at home. One-loss Auburn, beaten badly at home by Georgia today. So
it's not a one-loss team. 2
teams falling out of the one-loss category, and maybe clearing the way for one of the remaining one-loss teams, like Texas, as we discovered. Arkansas is part of that group, but they have Tennessee tonight on ESPN. And again, the carry by Brown, first down. Today's Game Track presented by John Hancock. 4 sacks and a key interception in the end zone at the end of the first half when Indiana had a chance to make it 21-10. Interception turned in by Morgan Trent, and Jerome Jackson resting Mike Hart to the tune of 8 carries, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Hart has 92 yards on 19 carries, and he also has a score. 3 straight carries for Carlos Brown. No gain here. Wolverines welcome back fully into the game plan today Mario Manningham. He was on the field against Ball State last week, but it was really just kind of to get him back in uniform and coming off knee surgery. There was no thought that he might play a big role last week, but that wasn't the case today. Indiana, on the other hand, Bill, has kept him under wraps pretty well. Just 2 catches for 11.
Yeah, but I don't think his number's been called much. I don't think you risk a Manningham in a game like this when it's already put away. I think it's been by design that Michigan hadn't used him much. I really do. We will see him have it aired out to him next week, I promise you.
Brown meets the surge by Geno Johnson, sophomore strong side linebacker.
I really thought after Henney took that blind side in the last series that we probably wouldn't see any more of him. I just think, and Lloyd Carr is a great football coach, and he's got a thing about keeping his regulars sort of in tune, even though they've got a blowout, and keeping them motivated, keeping them in the game. But there is a risk involved.
Here's a 3rd and 11 for Henney. Haven't had to go to the air much today. This swing pass will go backwards on the catch by Elijah Bradley. Bradley with his first reception, first touch, in fact, all year, and just the 2nd catch of his career for the converted former running back from Richmond, California. A senior gets in here in the 4th quarter.
Nice tackle there by Will Patterson, a true freshman from Indianapolis, playing that buck position, the Will linebacker, and Terry Hepner with a lot of good, young, fast skill on this football team.
Ross Ryan on the field to punt for the first time today. Very high effort. And coming up for the fair catch is Tracy Porter. 32 yards on the punt. This is what these two have done today. Ohio State's put 47 on the board at Northwestern. But the margins are about the same, rushing about the same, total yardage is about the same.
You see this kind of thing again and again. I just sat down with the stats today, the Big Ten stats and the national stats. And between Ohio State and Michigan, the similarities are really incredible. They're so closely aligned in terms of what they've accomplished statistically.
Kellen Lewis, as he has been all day, chased out of the pocket before he throws complete on the run to James Hardy. And Hardy has a gain of 12. Let's check in with Heather Cox.
Well, I heard Coach Curry earlier say that you'd pay to go to the game, the Ohio State-Michigan game. Well, I did a little research for you. Tickets are available online, but, Coach, it's going to cost you. The cheapest ticket I could find was $220. That's for upper nosebleed end zone seats. The best ticket, $4,500. You'll get one ticket on the 50-yard line. What's it worth to you, Coach Curry?
Did you get me one, Heather?
I love it, but not that much, Coach.
You could afford it.
Baby needs new shoes.
That's a sorry excuse.
Lewis is sacked back at the 34. Fifth sack of the day for the Wolverines, the first for Will Johnson. Boy, $4,500. That will test your fanhood. Are you that much into Ohio State or Michigan? No doubt somebody will be.
Dave, I don't have to tell you. We get a shot here of Will Johnson, who's a backup defensive lineman. Their backup defensive linemen run faster than most people's starters. Nice job there by Will, but there are a lot of people that'll pay that $4,500 in a heartbeat to be at that game.
Second down 18. As Lewis throws complete over the middle for Ray Fisher. Let me put you in the mind of both coaches. First of all, Jim Tressel, what would keep him awake this week worrying about Michigan? And there's a lot of things. What mostly do you think he's doing?
You know what? I mean this now. I'm around Jim Tressel every now and then. We got to do one game last year and one game this year. Actually, it was against Indiana. We'll let this play run, and then I'll complete my thought.
And there's the countdown, by the way. 6 days, 21 hours and change for kickoff in Columbus. Ball batted away, incomplete, defended by Charles Stewart.
Let me tell you what Jim Tressel said. And one of the people in our group asked him when we had the interview with the coach, well, Coach, this is such a big job. There's so much pressure. I mean, well, how do you deal with all that? He said, well, my dad was the coach at Baldwin Wallace. I thought that was a great job. I was the coach at Youngstown State, and I love that. I love this job. They're all the same to me. I get the feeling that Tressel has got things in perspective, and he handles it very well.
Punt by Tyson Beatty. At the 25-yard line. 37 yards on the kick. Michigan fans sticking this one out. They're enjoying a 31-point lead.
ESPN's College Football is presented by Cars.com. Find the right car for you. Cars.com. And in part by Cooper Tires. Don't give up a thing.
Back in Bloomington, Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Heather Cox. 6:05 to play in Michigan, still on top 34-3. Chad Henney's day is done. He finishes 11 of 15 for 158 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. And his backup, sophomore Jason Forcier out of San Diego, checks in. And Elijah Bradley with the ball. All right, so you think if anybody can handle the build-up and the pressure and everything that goes with this matchup between Ohio State and Michigan, Jim Tressel's pretty well suited to that. What about Lloyd Carr? What would keep him awake this week?
Well, I think he's got a good handle on it, too. I don't see him all nervous and shaky, and the way you see some coaches uptight. Sometimes he might get a little abrupt at some dumb questions we ask, but we all have done that.
Forcier now 3 for 3 on the year, and the ball fumbled by Carson Butler, but Michigan comes up with the loose ball, and the recovery Laterriel Savoy. Now, what kept John Cooper up after this 96 matchup, he brought in undefeated Ohio State looking like a national champion. Brian Griese, though, hitting Ty Streets, who took the short pass a long way for the only Wolverine touchdown. Their defense did the job and upset the #1 Buckeyes 13-9. That Ohio State team went on to beat Arizona State in the Rose Bowl. That might still be the most talented college team, that 95-96 Ohio State team I ever remember watching. Orlando Pace, Eddie George previous year, Terry Glenn, all those folks, and that Michigan team probably, as they look back after winning the national title the next year, could say, well, that push toward the 97 championship probably began by denying Ohio State the 96 national championship.
Well, you could argue that Brian Griese got his start there. He was starting.
Absolutely.
He had not played much, and he had been redshirted, and I think there was a question as to whether he could really take them all the way. And then the next year, he just built on it. He got better and better, and did a great job for him. They went the distance.
Second down and 10. Brandon Minor for a loss, and let's hear from Reese Davis in the studio.
Dave, a tough day for one-loss teams and fights everywhere. Cal up 17-10 on Arizona, and there goes Chris Henry again. The junior tying the game at 17 early in the fourth, and Florida made a field goal finally. They tied South Carolina in the fourth at the Swamp.
Well, a memorable return to the Swamp for Steve Spurrier so far. In a 10-10 tie. Final 3:20 here in Bloomington. This is a 3rd and 11 roll for Forcier, playing in his 5th game of the year. He looks, has room, keeps, blasted at midfield by Jake Powers, but I think he's got a first down. He's got 11 yards.
Yeah, Forcier's a big old guy at 6'2", 220, and I like his acceleration here. He breaks contain. Somebody was supposed to keep him in contain over there, did not do so. And he tucks it away, actually shows some presence, puts the ball against his chest, which is what you're supposed to do, and runs until he's knocked down by Powers. Nice job. Henny enjoying the toque he's got on over there to keep his little head warm.
Michigan continuing to run the clock down. Another carry by Carlos Brown. I want to thank the sports information staffs from both schools, Jeff Kegg and his group from Indiana, Dave Abloff from Michigan. We also want to say hi to Bruce Motti, our friend who has long run the sports information operation at Michigan. He lost his father, William, this week. William passing away at age 87. So our thoughts and prayers with Bruce Motti and his family, one of our good friends on the college football scene. Down to the final 2 minutes in Bloomington. Michigan winning its 15th straight in the series. Its 30th in the last 31 meetings with Indiana. Brown is going to be close for another first. And today's player of the game, presented by Cooper Tires, did it on offense and on special teams. Steve Breston. 231 total yards, 3 catches for 103 and a 62-yard touchdown, and he returned to punt 82 yards for a school record 4th career touchdown return.
I got to say that Breston's been about as effective a player as I can think of that has stayed underneath the radar. He's the best player you hadn't heard much about in the last 4 years. He's had a great career.
Timeout called here. Stops the clock at 1:28.
I'd just like to add for Bruce Motti, what a wonderful man, and how his hospitality through the years has been so great. We always look forward to being with Bruce, and I share Dave's concern, and Bruce, our hearts and prayers with you all the way.
What is Lloyd Carr? What's the point he's making here with the timeout at this point in a route?
What he sees in a route is he sees people starting to lose concentration. And you run around out there, you don't do things properly, and you get a little bit sloppy, and that's when people get hurt. And he's saying, you guys have got to learn to finish a job the way I want you to. I mean, that's what hurt him last week against Ball State. They didn't finish the job the way he wanted. So that's the point. I'm guessing that that's what he's saying.
Michigan defense led by David Harris turning on another monumental performance. They've held Indiana to 129 total yards, 25 on the ground, -8 on the ground in the second half. Mostly because of quarterback draws and keepers by Kellen Lewis. Indiana at the half was over what Michigan allowed per game, 33 yards on the ground. They lead the nation, giving up 30 per game. They're at 25. And Lewis through the air, 104 yards on 16 of 33 with an interception.
Yeah, and I think the most dominating stat I've seen this year in college football is 1.3 yards per carry. The Michigan defense for the season, that's almost impossible when you consider spread offenses and the way everybody's running the ball out of the spread. It's just tough to do that, even if you have a great defense.
That means everybody they've played, they have made one-dimensional. As Minor gets down to the 25 with a first down.
Now, one other eccentricity about NCAA statistics that we have to mention in order to be responsible here, sacks are deducted from rushing yardage, and that's another reason that Michigan has that outstanding number. If you didn't deduct sacks from the rushing yardage, it wouldn't be quite as impressive, but it's even with that, it's a darn good job.
Yeah, they'd have 60 rushing yards if they hadn't been sacked five times.
That's right.
5 times for -35. But that's part of the formula, has been for them all year. Minor with a cutback. And that should put the cap on Michigan's 11th win in as many games this year. Ohio State takes care of its end of the bargain, too, leading 47-10 at Northwestern in the fourth quarter. So the stage is set for history in Columbus next week. It will be number 1, 11-0, Ohio State, and number 2, 11-0, Michigan. They knock off Indiana 34-3.
But another great coaching job by Lloyd Carr this entire year, answering his critics, coming off a tough year with a great.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Bill Curry, Heather Cox, our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dave Barnett. Good night from Bloomington, Indiana. Let's send you back to our college football studios and rejoin Reese Davis. Michigan, very impressive again today.
To the College Football Scoreboard, presented by Acura.
Number 1, Ohio State, trying to keep pace. You saw what Michigan was able to do against Indiana. Buckeyes against Northwestern. Troy Smith, Brian Hartline.
Fine-tuned machine on offense. Terrific pass protection. Great job of run blocking, but bouncing it out to the outside, but still getting a score. Antonio Pittman.
Pittman going over 1,000 yards for the season, 14-0. Then C.J. Bechet of Northwestern, Brandon Mitchell.
That's it. Goes 46 yards for a touchdown. That is their 20th interception of the year. Last year they only had 6.
47-10 now. The Buckeyes laying a beatdown on Northwestern and steamrolling toward the epic showdown with Michigan next week. For the first time, the Big Ten will feature a pair of 11-0 teams, and Ohio State and Michigan will meet number 1 versus number 2 for the first time ever. This is how the Wolverines will arrive and have arrived at 11-0. Lloyd Carr. Have you seen Lloyd Carr smile a lot this year, Mark?
Yes, more than I've seen him smile the last 6 years on the sidelines. He's a happy camper because of this. When you've got Adrian Arrington catching passes like that, it tunes the offense up.
7-0. Wolverines take the lead. And you know what? I would grin from ear to ear if I had old 20 to hand it to back there, Mike Hart.
Doesn't hurt at all. He never loses a fumble, Reese Davis.
He does. Even when he loses them, it doesn't really count. The statistical anomaly from last week. Kenny to Steve Breston, Lou.
Well, that's the thing about why he can laugh. They can run, they can throw, and they play great defense. They have a great kicking game, as we're going to see Breston go 83 yards for a touchdown.
See Breston awakening in the nick of time just before the Wolverines make the trek south to Columbus next week. Breston with a 62-yard touchdown reception, then this 83-yard punt return for a touchdown, a 31-point victory for the Wolverines over the Hoosiers, and both teams promised to be focused. They promised not to overlook opponents as they sort of felt they might have last week. Michigan against Ball State and Ohio State last week against Illinois. And now, well, there's 5 minutes and change to go in the Ohio State game, but they've got the reserves in now. They're getting set for Michigan. Ohio State, you brought up an interesting point, Mark. You think that there's going to be a little bit of a different look to the Ohio State offense when they play Michigan?
I definitely do, and I think it's going to be Troy Smith running the football. His last 2 games, in his career games against Michigan, he's averaged 91 yards per game and 1 rushing touchdown, 270 yards in the air per game. But here's the key. You haven't seen Troy Smith run the ball a lot this year. They're saving it for when they need it, and that may be against the Michigan Wolverine defense.
And the Wolverine staff didn't go to school to eat their lunch. They understand Smith's averaged 91 yards a game rushing, and it's hurt him running and throwing. Make no mistake about it, this is not the same Michigan defense Ohio State has faced in the last couple of years. And the other thing, I believe that all the intangibles go towards Michigan. You're going to say, well, the game's at Ohio State. But here's the thing. The pressure's been on Ohio State all year. Michigan came out of nowhere. Nobody expects them to beat Ohio State. They've lost 3 of the last 4 times. But the key is, I think, Michigan believes they can beat Ohio State this year.
I think Jim Tressel believes he can beat Michigan because he's done a pretty good job at it. Period. He does. Every year. That's when he took the job. Yeah, the first time he was there, all he said was, we will beat Michigan, and he did.
I've never seen a game I've looked forward to as much as this one, with the possible exception of Southern Cal and Texas last year. We know how that turned out. This is going to be a great game, but it's going to be different. It's going to be hard-nosed, rock-em, sock-em football with a lot of big plays by some great athletes.
And one of the reasons you like Michigan, you like the visiting teams in games like this.
Because when you're a visiting team, all the media, all the press, everybody's going to be in Columbus, Ohio. You're going to be up there all by yourself, making your preparation. You go to the stadium. Once they kick off, then you want to be the home team.
So if you could have the best of both worlds, it would work out nicely.
Yeah.
But you know what? As good a job as both these teams have done to stay undefeated right now, you say, well, they just able to navigate the potential pratfalls. That's easier said than done.
Coming up on Michigan Replay, the Wolverines stay perfect with a road win over Indiana. We'll see the highlights. We'll also meet Obi Alibo, a Nigerian nightmare for Michigan opponents. And we'll look ahead to next week's showdown of showdowns. We'll scout Ohio State. All that and more coming up next. Michigan Replay with Lloyd Carr is brought to you in part by Diet Mountain Dew. How Dew does diet. By Pontiac, official performance machines of Michigan and the NCAA. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade, is it in you? By LaSalle Bank, proud to support the University of Michigan football program. LaSalle Bank, making more possible. And by Big Boy Restaurants. Oh boy, Big Boy, celebrating 70 years as your hometown family restaurant.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Michigan Replay. Well, the Wolverines got past Indiana 34-3 and set up the showdown of next week. Now, everybody wants to talk about next week, but we can't just yet. We still have to talk.
We could if we wanted to.
We could if we wanted to,
yeah.
But if we did, everybody in the control room would get mad.
So we don't want that.
And we don't want that. Although, I don't know. You know, it's kind of fun to see them go off the handle. Here's the deal. Indiana was a game you were concerned with. They had a mobile quarterback, and your team really responded, I think, the way you wanted them to, especially in the first quarter.
Well, we came out, Jim, we did a great job of mixing the run and the pass. Our defense got us the ball back. We got 2 very good drives to start the game, and you're right, that's exactly the way you want to play on the road.
And people really realize Indiana came to this game with, on an emotional level, they really wanted to get after Michigan because of Coach Hepner and his remarks and some of the things that went on. And you had to match their intensity early, and I thought you did.
Well, they had a lot to play for. They still do. They're one game from being bowl eligible. Terry's done a great job there. And as you mentioned, this Lewis is an elusive guy. Guy's a lot of skill. And I was most worried about their return game, the punt and kickoff. So, you know, it was a big challenge for our special teams as well.
We go to the highlights. This is your first possession, and you couldn't ask for a better first possession in this football game.
I run the bootleg pass, and you know, Chad sees that they don't have anybody in the strong side flat, so he gets the ball out to Steve. Here, Mike Hart makes a Mike Hart type of run. You know,
it's like one of those. How does he do it?
He bounces outside, finds a cutback, and makes a positive out of a negative.
And then here Mike goes again. This is with a lead draw, and he just, again, makes people miss.
Well, I thought we mixed the run and the pass very well. We had some good play-action passes here. On the 1-yard line, a well-thrown football to Adrian Arrington, and now we're off to the start we wanted to be on.
Just 4.5 minutes into the game, and you've really taken the crowd out. Then defensively, this is key. Keeping this guy under control.
Well, I thought, you know, he got out a couple of times, but for the most part, our defense contained him, and when he did get outside, we had people chasing him, and so I thought we were very effective.
Got good field position. You go for it here on 4th and 1 on your side of the 50, and you got it.
Well, Jim, on the road, you know, you hate to punt the football, and we had confidence that we could make a yard, and Mike Hart did that, the people up front.
How about Jerome Jackson coming in to spell Mike Hart? He's really come on of late, hasn't he?
Well, I think he's gained everybody's confidence, and of course, he's a guy that always has confidence in himself. And here, Chad makes an excellent throw to Adrian Arrington for a big first down that keeps the drive alive.
Then Mike Hart goes in, good block from Alibu, and Mike Hart goes in, and it's 14-0 after 2 possessions. Just the way you wanted to start it.
Well, it is. And, you know, we came out with good intensity. We didn't have the penalties today that we had a week ago. Here is one of the plays that gets out of there. We let the ball outside. We miss a tackle in the backfield. But he's an elusive guy, and we did, thank goodness that was about the only time he got out on us.
You go to the second quarter, and this is, again, the quarterback making a good play on the run. Keeps the drive alive, and this is their only scoring drive.
Well, the good news there is that we did lose contain, but we had the quarterback running away from the line of scrimmage. He made a good throw on a 4th down play. He hits Hardy, the guy 6'7", and but that was good coverage by Leon Hall.
You hold him to a field goal. It's 14-3 at this point. Then big play city, and what an unbelievable Saturday Steve Breston had.
Well, you know, here we get very good protection. Chad can step up and find Breston deep for a touchdown, and you know, big plays really demoralize a defensive team, a team period, and so it was good to see Steve get open deep, and of course it was a team effort there, good protection. Chad made a nice throw.
Defense continues to play hard. I tell you what, David Harris was everywhere on that field.
David Harris has been everywhere all fall, Jim, and of course that's a play that you've got to diagnose, and if you don't, it's a big play, but David found a way to get out and make the tackle on the screen.
You're up 21-3 and still pounding the ball with just under 5 minutes to go in the second half, and it looks like you're going to put more on the board here.
Well, this is a big play in the game. It's also a big play because Tyler Ecker's been out 5 or 6 weeks, and he's a big target, and it was great to get him back in there and back playing. Here, Chad makes really, he was 11 for 15. It's his only bad decision of the day. And they got good field position, and with 3 minutes to go, they got time.
And they're moving the ball down the field. They use these little passes to kind of get out of bounds, keep the clock stopped, and move the ball down the field.
Well, we're playing a lot of zone coverage, and he's dumping the ball in front of us, and here they come back with a quarterback draw. We ducked our head there and missed a tackle, but got him down, and then we got another play to play and come up with good coverage down there, and he makes an overthrow. We get the interception. I think that was a big turning point in the game.
It really was a big turning point because you go off in halftime leading 21-3. Were you feeling good? I mean, you had to be feeling good about the game, but the interception in their drive kind of bothered you had a little bit going into the second half, didn't it?
Well, I thought we had really played well in the kicking game. Our coverage teams did an excellent job. The only play that bothered me is that we turned the football over because we were in field goal range. It was a 3rd down and long. We had trouble getting the drive going. But we gave up a scoring opportunity. That's the only thing, because I thought defensively we played very well.
Well, the Wolverines did play well in the second half. They played well, too, and they put it away 34-3. We'll be back and see those highlights. But first, we hear from Jerome Jackson talking about offensive balance is really by design.
We practice on that all week to have a great balance plan coming into this game, and that's what we did. We went out and executed the run game, the pass game, and we had fun out there today, so we got the job done.
Michigan Replay and Alro Steel take you inside the locker room.
We did our job, like I said. We had fun out there. You know what I'm saying? Getting pressure on the quarterback and let the back end do their job.
Tim Jamison, a great kid, Lloyd is just saying, and he had a great day, a big smile, wonderful personality.
Well, you know, he's one of those guys that has fun playing the game, and I think he helps everybody else have fun because he's just a guy that has great enthusiasm.
Talk to me about the second half now. As you go in, what was your message to the team taking the field with the 21-3 lead?
Well, we were playing well. We had control of the game. We needed to take the game out of their hands in the third quarter, and we decided to kick the ball to Indiana, and our defense came up with a good stop to start the third quarter.
They did indeed, and again, this is where good things happen. You stop them, they kick it to Steve Breston, and this is the highlight of his day, and it was already a huge day.
Well, Rondell Biggs in that previous job did a great job containing. We had pressure up the middle, and right here we talked all week about getting Steve loose, and our return team there did a great job.
And that makes it a 28-3 ball game, and boy, now you've got it under control. You can start playing some other players. But the one thing is the defense continues to start playing. This is David Harris. This is one of his best plays.
Well, David Harris, as we talked earlier, I think anybody that's followed Michigan football this fall, David has had just an outstanding season and having his best season as a fifth-year senior.
Here's a great play by Henne. Under duress, sticks it right in there to Breston for a big gain on third down.
Well, they get a linebacker free, and I'll tell you, Chad Henne's going to stand in there until the last minute. He's not distracted. He's tough and makes a big play on third down to keep the drive alive. And here's Jerome Jackson again running over the left side.
And here, he just runs through a safety.
Well, he gets his pads down and doesn't get knocked backwards there. If you're too high, and that's some of the problems that young backs have, they stay too high, they don't score that touchdown.
Got some kids in there now, and the defense never lets up.
Well, Brandon Graham has really developed into a guy that's a freshman that has really helped our defense and contributed a lot here in the latter part of the season.
Here's Jason Forcier at quarterback.
Well, every opportunity you get, we fumble the football there, and we get a heads-up play by Lateral Savoy, who recovers a fumble.
And how about this, a running quarterback at Michigan?
Well, it's been a while, huh? No. Greasy and Navarre and Brady, they wouldn't like me saying that.
That's right.
But Jason did a nice job there, Jim. That was a run-pass option. They dropped off in coverage. He ran for a first down, keeps the drive alive. Now we get another young guy in there, a guy that didn't get a chance to play as much this year, Carlos Brown. And then another number 4 in there.
It's not Brandon Miner. That's actually Darnell Hood, right?
Darnell Hood came here as a freshman.
Now tell the story about Darnell Hood and Fred Jackson.
Well, out of Bishop Gallagher High School, he was a tailback, and we moved him to cornerback, and he wanted to move. But earlier in this season, he came to Fred Jackson and our great backfield coach. He says, "Coach, just get me 1 carry this season." So I didn't know anything about it until last week. And, of course, last week we didn't get a chance to get him in. So
did
this
you know
week we did.
In the game Saturday that he was in there?
Well, yeah, because Fred had told me before the game, he said, "Lloyd, you know, Darnell, I promised him I'd try to get him in there." So he got 2 carries in there today and looked pretty good.
And let's not forget that, you know, Darnell has been an outstanding special teams player his whole career, right?
Well, he's been a great team guy. He's going to get his degree. He's been successful here, and he's going to be successful when he leaves here.
Okay, that's 11 wins in a row. Let's wrap that up. Indiana, it's over now, right? Can we now talk about what's coming up?
Well, I think we've always talked about what's coming up. You know, you never, during the week every season, or during the week of every season, you're always looking forward to this game. You're always doing some things to help prepare. So now publicly we've not talked a lot about it, but it's always there in front of you.
Well, believe me, this week you're going to hear a lot about it because it's going to be all over the nation, number 1 versus number 2. We'll get to those Ohio State Buckeyes in just a minute. But first, we're going to meet Obi Olibo. Now we hear from David Harris, who says how you deal with a running quarterback.
We just came out with the game plan of stopping the scrambling quarterback. He's a great athlete, and when we had our chances, we let them outside a couple plays, but as a defense, we played our game and limited them in what they wanted to do.
One of the more quiet members of Michigan's offensive ground attack is fullback Obi Olibo. He's one of the key guys in clearing the way for Mike Hart in the running game. Obi came to Michigan with his heart set on playing linebacker, though. But Coach Carr thought fullback was a better fit. For Obi, that was a tough switch to make.
When Coach Carr wanted to move me to fullback, it was like somebody punched me in my gut and took all the air out. It was like, you know, I was on a high cloud and he brought me down. But making the switch, I mean, I love making the switch. It got me on the field quicker. I'm playing, helping the team win games, and at the end of the day, I'm still hitting people, and that's what I love to do. Just go out there and just hit people. One thing I can say is I think I'm a fighter. I'm persistent, you know. I don't think it was going my way early on in my career, and I just knew that if I just keep fighting, that it'll work out in my favor one day, and I think it's paying dividends right now.
Olibo is of Nigerian descent and grew up in Washington, D.C. While he's never visited Nigeria, he still has family there, and they're very proud of him, even if they aren't completely sure what American football is all about.
Some of my family members in Nigeria have seen some of the games, maybe on the TV. They say they've seen me before. And I don't know, maybe my grandma might understand it a little bit, but I'm not sure. I have to ask my mom if she understands it fully. And my mom always gives them an update about how I'm doing and, you know, what school I'm at and the football I'm playing, and they're just proud of me. They might not fully understand what I'm doing, but as long as it's good and I'm out of trouble, they love it.
Obi clearly loves it too. He's a big part of an excellent team, and he loves everything about Michigan. His love affair started the minute he stepped on campus for his first visit.
The environment is different. I'm from D.C. and I'm just more urban. I just like the rural environment about everything, and just the family atmosphere around the football team and just the academics, everything about Michigan. It was new. It was a new experience for me, so I liked everything about it. Stood out.
Well, and everything about Obi Olibo has stood out, hasn't it? He's just a solid guy.
You know, that move to fullback, he fought. He didn't like it. He wasn't happy. And I think in the transition there, I've come to really admire him. I love that kid. Comes from a great family, Episcopal High School in Washington, D.C. His father came in with a visit, and there was no doubt his father knew Michigan. They knew the academics, and that's really what sold him. And Obi Alibo is going to leave here as being an outstanding football player. I think he has a chance to play in the future.
I'll tell you what, he is a great blocking fullback, and somebody on Sundays may have him playing for him. When we come back, we'll scout those Buckeyes. We'll talk about it, okay? But first, we hear from Steve Breston. Just how big is next week, Steve?
Everything's out there for us, and what it comes down to is just a one-game season right now. You know, we play all these games just to have a one-game season, and you know, we have a great opponent in front of us. So, I mean, you can't ask for nothing better.
Michigan Replay and Alro Steel take you inside the locker room.
We got to go out there and play our best game, and we got to practice. We got to get better this week, and that's our goal.
Well, clearly it's going to be a great football game. Michigan versus Ohio State. The entire country has been waiting for this one. The countdown started 6 weeks ago.
They look forward to it every year, but there is some extra things. Of course, the Big Ten championship and on the line, and that's the way we like it.
That's what's gotten lost in this whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all this national championship and stuff. This is for the Big Ten title.
Well, yes, it is, and a chance to win the national championship.
There you
so
go.
there's enough riding on it, Jim.
Well, when you look at this Ohio State team, this guy for 2 years in a row has caused you problems, Troy Smith.
Well, he certainly has, and he's surrounded by a lot of outstanding football players.
Running back Antonio Pittman, they can still run the football, averaging nearly 5 yards a carry.
Well, this guy's an excellent player, a guy that runs hard, very physical, and a guy that does a lot of things for him besides just carry the ball.
And two receivers, really, I think, that are their go-to guys. Ted Ginn Jr., big play guy. But this Anthony Gonzalez, in my judgment anyway, is an unbelievable playmaker.
Well, he's certainly had an unbelievable season. He's stepped in and stepped up. I mean, a year ago, he played an important role, and that has increased this year. But defensively, that's where they've replaced 9 starters, and they're statistically, I think, a better defense even than they were a year ago.
And that really is hard to believe, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, it says a lot for their recruiting. It says a lot for the guys that have come back and done the things they've been asked to do.
Well, Ohio State comes into the game, of course, unbeaten. There's all of the attention surrounding the game that you'll be inundated with for a week. How much of that is a distraction?
Well, I think you have to be able to, when you're getting ready to meet, when you're going out to practice, when you're down there studying film, you've got to be focused on trying to learn the game plan and get ready to play. But there's also a part of this thing that you want to enjoy.
Yeah, you want to celebrate the moment.
There's no question, because that's part of what this whole rivalry is about. There's gonna be a lot of articles written, a lot of features done about former players, there'll be talk about the great games. You played in some of those. And so all of that, immerses the whole team, the coaches, everybody in the tradition of the game.
Okay, in 30 seconds. Keys from an X's and O's standpoint. I've always said turnovers in big games make a difference in special teams.
Well, I think preparation, that's where it begins. And certainly you got to be able to take the game plan, know it, and go down and play our best game.
And manage Troy Smith.
Well, I think there's no question, but they have a lot of weapons. We gotta have a plan, and then our guys have got to execute that plan.
Well, it's going to be great, Lloyd. I wish you all the best. It's going to be fun. No matter what happens, it's been an unbelievable year, and we look for it to continue.
Well, thank you, Jim.
And we hope you're here next week as we'll talk about it all. Michigan versus Ohio State, 1 versus 2, the next game of the century. Don't miss any of it. Right here next week, same time, same place on Michigan Replay.
Michigan Replay has been brought to you in part by Abso Pure Water, delivering quality bottled water since 1908. By Sirius Satellite Radio. By the University of Michigan Alumni Association, uniting the leaders and best. www.umalumni.com. By State Farm. providing insurance and financial services. And by Pontiac, official performance machines of Michigan and the NCAA.